All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Mobile Blast podcast for episode 3. I am your host, Adam Jones,
And
and with
I'm
me,
Matthew Gissantana. And go ahead.
well, what we got tonight, we're going to condense some things because we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting up and running. We apologize about that, but we're going to continue on anyway. We'll throw out some of the agenda, but the important thing is we're going to talk about these devices that we have in our hand tonight and answer some questions if you got them about any of them. No, we don't have an iPhone SE in hand, but I got all the information about it to help our viewers learn more about it and what Apple's got bringing to the table. So let's start. Matt, start with the Galaxy S7. I know you got that device, right?
Yeah, I actually getting ready to send it back.
Uh-oh.
Good. Can you hear me?
You're choppy.
What about now?
You're good.
Okay, so I've had the S7 for about 2 weeks now, and my overall impressions have been pretty good. I don't really think too highly of Samsung devices, but this one has definitely gotten better from the last year's model. Um, it's also excuse me, brought back the waterproofing, which was really big in the S5. Also, it has a micro SD card slot, which I think is pretty good. So Samsung made some compromises last year, kind of made some people mad, and this year they brought back some of everyone's favorite features, like again the waterproofing and the micro SD card slot. Um, the phone is a good phone. I'm still not a fan of TouchWiz. It's a very powerful phone. So you're getting.
You there? All right. Matt, you're frozen from me. Just go ahead and jump right in once you come back. All right. So Matt was talking about the S7. We kind of dropped him there. All right, you back, Matt? You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can join on another device.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick up with the S7 Edge that I got and complement with the S7 that you got. Well, you got that figured out. So while Matt's trying to figure out the his internet issue, I got the S7 Edge demo review device from Verizon, and it's different from the S7 in the respect that it's got a 5.5 inch screen. The S7's got a 5.1 inch screen. The battery capacity is larger, 3,600 milliamp hours compared to 3,000 milliamp hours. But Samsung has greatly improved their battery life with the toning down their changes to Android, and that's very nice. I agree with Matt that the S7 or the S6 was not the most impressive device last year, but they brought a lot back this year with the water resistance. Um, you can tell that this is silver, and it looks gorgeous. It's a fingerprint magnet, but it looks gorgeous. The screen is gorgeous. It's an AMOLED. Samsung's always had a great AMOLED. But with 32 gigabytes of memory and 4 gigabytes of RAM, it takes everything you can give it, and it doesn't slow down, is what I was going to say. It doesn't slow down at all. IP67 water resistance rating, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's IP67 water resistant. Maybe it's 68, but it's not waterproof. You can put it in the water, but don't go really deep in the water. It's not meant to really be submerged. Took a couple of pictures of it in some water puddles, and it worked out really good. Overall, I'm not a Samsung fan either, in the respect of the fact that I don't care for their TouchWiz overlay, and I don't like the home button on the front. But all that personal to the side, I really did like this phone. for the operational features and the S7. I did not care for the edge display because it makes it very difficult to reach across the screen without accidentally touching something else with the palm of your hand right here.
Yep.
I'm going to give it I mean, overall, it's gonna be a good rating, but I'm going to list those negative remarks on my review just so that buyers beware about those type of things, and that you got to take that into account when you purchase. It's not something easily to overcome. The size of the screen is just fine. If you like the Note series, there's nothing different here. Um, Matt, did you have anything more to say on your opinions about the S7 now that you're back with us?
Yeah. The S7 is. I had the same problem with the S7 when it comes to one hand usage. I found that what would happen is I can kind of demonstrate with my Nexus 6P is when you're holding it in your hand, the corner of your hand kind of touches the screen. So when you try to reach up to the top and grab this, it won't pull down because it just doesn't, the touches don't recognize right. And that's really because the screen is slightly curved on the S7. So I would imagine the edge you would have even harder time trying to grab the notification panel.
Is
The
Are you
across the top.
touching it with that part of your hand, trying to reach?
Yeah, like I'm kind of going like this, kind of trying to reach it up.
Yeah.
And see, on this is more squared, and I have a case on it, so it's a little bit easier.
Okay. Let's put all that to the side because you and we got some bias. We're one-handed users. Let's say you're a two-handed user. That still got in the way when I wanted to use the keyboard
Yeah,
because the keys are on the side of the display, on the edge,
yeah,
um, over here and over here. So it still was very difficult to type quickly as I'm
yeah.
used to on a flat screen.
Yeah, you kind of had to kind of hold it like this in your hand and then type on it. You couldn't like really grip it.
Now that's not new. I mean, I had the same concerns with the S6 Edge and the S6 Edge Plus,
Yeah,
but it's just something I think Samsung really needs to start thinking about with these phones, because I can say for a fact that I've had 3 users talk to me about their personal devices that they bought the S6 Edge, not the big one, but the S6 Edge, and they all 3 had that same exact complaint, and I didn't mention it to them, they mentioned it to me. So there's got to be more users out there that have this complaint.
yeah. It's an overall good phone. I'm actually, as much as I try to knock Samsung and I'm kind of biased towards them, they're getting better every year incrementally, and the build quality of this phone is top notch. Feels great. It's a good size. They don't do too much with the bezel, so everything is like really compact. So even though this phone is a little bit hard to use with one hand, it's still much better to use with one hand than most other phones that with that same screen size. Um, what I was getting at before I got disconnected is TouchWiz is still a problem for me, but it's gotten better. Um, I do not. I'm not a fan of all of Samsung's apps that they have. Right? Like you got Google Music, and then you got like Milk on there. Like it's just so many. There's so many parallel applications that they have that Google already provides that it's just kind of redundant. And every time when you first set up the phone, it's like every time you do something, they want to ask what default do you want to use, like your calendar. Do you want to use Samsung Calendar or Google Calendar?
Well,
This
what
and this.
what other manufacturer? I mean, all other manufacturers do the same thing though. They
Yeah,
have
that.
They have their own
Yeah,
calendars. They have their own text messaging. They have their own dialers. They have their own messaging platforms, their own notepads. I
yeah.
guess the one thing that Samsung does that the others don't is Samsung does not allow you to disable their applications.
Correct. They kind of put it in your face and have you use that first, and then you have to kind of go and switch it. I don't get that feeling when I use a Motorola device, even though they have they have their own stuff. It just looks so much like Google. You don't really feel like it's a Motorola variant. Like it just feels more natural.
Um, I must admit, when I was using the Edge from last year's version of the the Edge software to this year's version of the Edge software, they have greatly improved it. They brought the Edge screen panel over more,
Yeah.
so that it reminded me of the Note Edge. It took up a little bit more of the screen. Also, you had the capability of using a third party email text message app on the quick contacts.
Yep.
You weren't strictly forced to use the Samsung application in that respect. So that's a good improvement on their part. I did not like being forced to use their application, so therefore I didn't use the Edge features.
Yeah.
All
I do like that part about the Edge is those quick actions and applications and stuff that you can add over there. It's pretty cool.
Well, let's move along. Let's talk about the. I got the G5 as well. I've had it for a day, and I'm impressed with it. There is a lot that could be fixed on it, but none of it is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I love the quick response to unlock by simply touching, not pushing, but touching the power button. There's a silver ring, if you can see this, around the phone. See if I can get it close enough. No. And there you go. There's a silver ring around the phone that actually I messed up my camera. That actually is sharp though. It kind of digs into the skin, whether you're holding it with your fingertips, the palm, or even putting some people use your pinky as like a chin to keep the phone from sliding out of your hand. And
Yeah.
And no matter what part is touching that silver bezel, if you will, it's sharp. But you can look past it. The screen LCD, but it's Quad HD and it looks great. It's not as bright as an AMOLED. Even at full brightness, it's not as bright as an AMOLED. Say on the S7, but still looks really good. I haven't had a chance. I haven't even had it long enough to test out the battery. I don't know what to expect there. But overall, it's also got the LG G5's also got 4 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs base model on the memory capacity and a 2800 milliamp hour battery. Now the battery is removable. I could do this on screen. It'll shut my phone down, but that's okay. So you push the button and it pops out, but it's hard to pull. There you go. And it pops out like that. Now the instructions say you're supposed to arc it away like this to remove the battery from the modular chin. But it's not easy. It makes you feel like you're breaking the phone because the first time you do it, it is not easy. But once you do it once, it becomes easier. Bad news is you slide it back in and it does not fully sit flush with the phone any longer. Now, there are reports that that's just a design flaw that impacted some of them, not all of them. There are many people who have said, no, I don't have that problem. There's others who said, I've got light bleed in the screen. I don't have that problem. So different problems amongst different phones, which if quality control is anything to respect, some just got through the QA process. Overall, though, having it for 2 days, I like it. I'm impressed. It's not too big. It's not heavy. And I can use it one-handed, which I personally enjoy. Any thoughts on the G5?
From what I saw it today when we were taking pictures for the review, and I thought it felt really good in the hand, and the screen looked really good. LG phones have always been top-notch with the screens, man. So I'm going to reach out for a review in it tomorrow, and I'll be able to probably provide more feedback next time we do this.
Cool. Well, we probably got a lot of iPhone lovers watching too. And I don't have an iPhone SE in hand, but I didn't see Apple bringing this to the table personally. I guess I should have seen it coming. However, I thought the 5C was a big enough flop that they weren't going to try it again. But Apple never gives you numbers to go by. Now this year, during the release of the iPhone SE, they did drop the number 30 million 4-inch displays sold in 2015. So if you recall, they jumped up from a 4-inch display. What is it, Matt? What's your iPhone 6? Is it 4.7 inches?
Yeah.
4.5, 4.7?
Yeah, iPhone 6 is 4.7.
Okay, so that means the 5S or the 5 or something older, they sold 30 million of those, but they didn't tell us how many they sold of the 6 or newer, 6S.
Yeah.
So that's why they brought the iPhone SE, which is a basically a iPhone 6S inside, no, an iPhone 6 inside a 5S body. It's got the internals of the iPhone 6 from last year with the skeleton of an iPhone 5S from 2 years ago, which that's not. I mean, they didn't just bring a mid-tier device; they brought a smaller phone with flagship
Yeah.
specs.
And
In my opinion,
just a small correction is they have the internal chip from the actual 6S.
is it the 6S?
Yeah,
I'm
the A
sorry.
it has the A9 and the A9 and the M9 or whatever processor and coprocessor.
You're correct. I'm sorry. I misspoke earlier about that. It
No,
is the
you're fine.
A9, 64-bit A9 that's in the 6S.
Yeah.
Graphics processor's the same, 12 megapixel camera on it.
Yep.
Now, I watched the release event, and I'm going to be picky for a second. They compared, because it's the size of a 5S, they compared it to the 5S, which is at this point in time a 2-year-old phone.
Yeah.
And I would hope that the 6S internals, which is what they put inside the skeleton of a 5S, would greatly increase the speed and the LTE and the radio frequencies. And they were just, that's all they focused on was how it's 3 times better than the 5S. And I'm like, it should be, right?
Yep.
Because 2 years newer.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, they apparently they're doing well. I heard today they've sold out of the 64 gigabyte version everywhere,
Yep.
which we don't know how many they made. they could have
Yeah.
they could have made 1,000 and
Yeah.
now sold out everywhere. We don't know. They don't tell us that information.
No, I think what they do is they wanted to really test the market. So they've definitely sold a lot, but it's not like a lot as if, like a brand new release. Because I guarantee you, at once they start filling up these orders, they're just going to be sitting in stores. But that's still good because see, um, a lot of prepaid carriers and what do you call those MVOs? Those type of
MVNO.
yeah, those are starting to really pick up steam. And it's really hard for a person who's paying. If somebody's going to a prepaid carrier, odds are they're not going to have 649 to drop on a 16 gigabyte iPhone 6s. Um, so if you put an iPhone in front of them that's 399, even in America or like Canada or Mexico, like even North America or whatever, you put a 399 phone in front of them and you tell them that they have no contract and it's $45 a month. That's much more durable than a 649 plus tax and all that stuff like that. Um, Also, they've always done this model where so right now the 6S is the top of the line phone. So when the 7 comes out in the fall, the 6 will become the free phone, the 6S will become the $99 phone, and the 7 will be the $199 phone. But now they can have a clean cut and have a free on contract phone as being the SE, and then have maybe a $99 phone being the 6, so they can clear out stock, and then maybe 149 be the 6S or something like that. But it gives them a lot of options because what's happening is they're not even doing the whole model anymore where it's 199, was it 199, 299, 399 anymore. Everybody who all the major carriers are doing the whole payment plan thing. So now you have like what is it like I don't know $21, $22, $24. So it becomes if you're a customer and you see the 6S Plus, whether it's because the 6S Plus 128 gig full price is like $949. Like it is a lot. Uh, you take that and divide it by whatever 20 months, 30 months, or however they do it with AT&T or Verizon, you get a pretty high amount. But when you take into account that somebody who wants that phone versus maybe the 6 Plus probably only pays maybe $6 more a month or something like that, it's automatically pushes people to the higher phone.
Yeah.
So now they can really like control their stock and do whatever. So it kind of works out. It kind of works out for them, whatever it is with their model and everything like that. I personally don't. I have a huge problem with this whole name scheme that they have going on with all their products. So, because you really don't know what's what anymore. I would have a hard time trying to explain what the heck the iPhone SE is to like my parent. Like if I pull one out and I was like let's just say I have an S6S Plus. Let's just say I was like, you know what? I want to go to a prepaid carrier, or I just want an iPhone SE. Everybody I know around me would be like, yo, what happened to your 6S Plus? Why'd you go down to a 5S or a 5? Me trying to explain to them that the internals of my phone is just as good as their 6S is going to like just be so far over their heads that it just doesn't even matter anymore.
Well, those who know will look at your phone and think you have a phone that's 2 years old.
Correct. Correct.
There, visually speaking, there's no differentiation between that 2-year-old phone and this new one, except the price, which again isn't visual. You just know that because you bought it.
There's two small things that I can pick up, but most people have their phone in the case, so you're not going to be able to see it. So there's SC written on the back, and then there's on the edge of the phone where it was like shined, it was like polished on the 5S and the 5. It's now finished with the color of the phone. But most people have their phone in the case. So
I didn't even notice that.
and also rose gold. If you see a rose gold iPhone 5 looking phone, it's a SE.
I don't think general consumers are
No.
going to realize that. You got to be a blogger like us who watch this stuff closely day in day out to be able to pick it out on the street.
Correct. What I think is the coolest thing of the internals is that they brought all the radios from the 6S, which are outstanding. It has NFC, and it also has wireless AC. So you're getting like the excuse me, the really fast wireless Wi-Fi speeds, as well as you're getting pretty much every band in the world almost. Not every band, but you're getting a lot of bands, so you can take these phones just about anywhere. And of course, if you buy from Verizon, it's automatically unlocked, so that's even better.
Let's make a transition real quick. You mentioned Verizon. We've been talking about bringing a phone to a carrier. I personally, I'm on Verizon. I know you're not. You're on Project Fi, right?
I'm on both.
Oh, you are? Well, I'm on Verizon. I've still got a die-hard unlimited data plan. I want to talk about for a second your opinion on these new fees that they're putting down on unlimited data, as well as fees for upgrades. So let me explain some things for just a second. Back in November, if you had no contract and unlimited data, you were automatically bumped from $30 a month to $50 a month to keep that unlimited data.
Yeah.
So, and then now there's speculation that in May, they're going to bump unlimited hotspot users an additional $20. But one thing that happened on Monday for sure was if you walk into the store and you get their assistance to upgrade your phone, or even bring a new phone and you just get their assistance to activate it on your line, they're going to charge you a $20 upgrade fee. primary that in a nutshell, that's what these fees all account for. Now AT&T has just followed suit and is now bumped their $15 upgrade fee to $20 to match Verizon. I don't know if they felt like the strange kid on the playground or something, and they just wanted to be cool like Verizon. But now they matched. They went up by $5. Now Sprint has a $30 upgrade fee. T-Mobile does not have one, as far as I know. AT&T has a $20 one, and Verizon has a $20. This is simply for the sake of walking into the store and upgrading your phone. What are your thoughts?
It doesn't cost them any money to do that. I had an argument on the phone. I think I told you about this. I was having trouble with my iPhone, went over my data, called Verizon, and I went over my data like almost $150. And they were just like unapologetic. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell this phone. I'm going to pay it off because I'm on the little payment plan. And I was like, I'm just going to go to AT&T because there's been several months where I've not gone over my data, where I have a 30 gigabyte data plan, which is also on a promotion. And if I were to change it, I would pay $100 more. So I said, there's been several months where I didn't go over my data, and you guys didn't bank that data for me. That data's gone. And now that I'm going over my data, you want to charge me $150. So, and I kind of argue with them about, I'm paying for a service that I'm not receiving. And they will find a way to justify, well, it goes to the upgrading our network and making it better and, and paying this and paying that. I'm like, but you're doing it to millions of customers. There are millions of customers that you have that are on a 10 gigabyte, 20 gigabyte, whatever plan, and they're not using all that data, and you're just keeping the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I go to a restaurant and I don't eat all my food, do you take that food back and remake it into more food and give it back to another person? No, you throw it away. So, why are you charging me for all this stuff? It's the same thing with the activation fee. It costs them nothing to activate a line, to upgrade a phone.
They've been doing it for decades with no fee.
It costs them nothing, man.
Like
I
if I'm not mistaken, this is in addition to any type of fee for the phone activation. So you used to pay like $35 for phone activation. So
yeah, I remember that, and I remember
I'll have to find some clarification if it's in replacement of or in addition to.
I believe it's like this. So when you buy a new phone, there's an activation fee of $35. That's a buying a new phone.
Yes.
Okay, but when you bring a phone in and you want to activate it, like upgrade it or do whatever, then I believe that's a $20 fee. So hypothetically, I could buy a new phone, upgrade it. Buy a new phone, activation fee, whatever, $35. Use it for a couple months, and then I go, you know what? I don't want this phone. Cousin gives me another phone. I take that phone. I'm like, hey, I need to put this phone on my account. I want you to take the old one off. That is considered an upgrade, and that will be another $20.
Yes.
I think what they're doing that is to curb a lot of people buying phones outright and then putting them on their line so they can keep. They're trying to flush people like you out who are still on the unlimited.
Well, you can't flush me out so long as I stay on some sort of contract, which is, I won't tell my secret, but I'm still on contract until November 2017. So.
Yeah. So you're good. You're good. But once that November comes in 2017, you have to find another way because they're gonna try to find a way to flush you out of it, make you do this, make you do that. Because I lost mine originally because somebody messed up in the store when I went to go get, I think, the 5S. Maybe the 5. I don't know. They messed up in the store and they would not get it back. I actually left to AT&T for like a year because of that. I was that upset.
Oh, I would be upset too. I would not have left that store until I had it back.
No, they did. It was partially my fault, but it really wasn't. It was partially my fault because I did an upgrade on my wife's line, and my wife wasn't on unlimited. And then I tried to move it over, and then I did something with the SIM cards, and they didn't tell me that it would do that. So it was my fault because I didn't do an upgrade on my line. I did it on another line. But in the past, it worked a certain way. So I had an understanding of how it was supposed to work or how it worked in the past. And apparently, they changed some stuff in the system. Basically, if you activate the newest iPhone, they're assuming that you bought it on that line, which they're going to automatically change your plan and do all this stupid stuff. And I basically signed it. You know, when you're buying a new phone and you do all this stuff, I signed the contract for her line, and then I moved the SIM card over like while I was in the store, and it basically was mid-cycle or something, and it moved the contract over to my line. So
Yeah.
that is. I'm just letting you know that they're finding a way to try to squeeze you out, man. That's all
They
that is.
they always will. That's this $20 fee they implemented back in November. That's definitely a way to squeeze the unlimited users out. Now,
Yeah.
I would admit that based on the current plan cost, I use 10 to 13 gigs in respect to the fact that several unlimited users using this almost 100 gigs because they just use it. I still am paying the cheapest price I possibly can at the amount of data I currently use. So
Yeah.
they can't talk me into a tier plan that would be anywhere close to the same. I think that Verizon is going to always think of a new way to get rid of us until they're all gone. We're just going to have to hold on to it. Now, I wanted to give some recommendations to our viewers. Fill in the blanks. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I recommend buy a phone from a third party or directly from the manufacturer, not from the carrier. So stay away from Verizon, stay away from Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T to avoid these extra fees. When you get the phone, swap out SIM cards, and that will be the easiest way to get your new phone on your line. If for any reason you have to get a new SIM card, order one using the telephone call to Verizon, and that should help. I can't guarantee that that's going to stop the extra fee, but it should at least reduce the opportunity for them to get that extra money from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All in all, we got lots of devices on hand. This is one I didn't expect. Got a Lenovo Yoga Tablet Pro 3 the other day. So I've got to add that to the review list. It's pretty cool. It's got a projector right here. So that's pretty neat.
That's nice. What operating system is on there?
601, Android 601. Marshmallow.
Nice.
And one of my biggest complaints of last year's review unit was that their software removed the app drawer, and this year they left it in. So
Nice.
I immediately opened it up, turned it on, and I saw that app drawer, and I was singing hallelujah, because the app drawer to me is a big win. I didn't want to put Nova Launcher on a review unit because I wanted to use the tablet or the phone as they intended the user to use it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with the LG G5. It doesn't have an app drawer. So I'm reviewing it as LG intended for the consumer to use it. But that's going to play a part in my review as well. As far as ease for the user, that somewhere in there is going to play a part. All in all, though, man, I kind of wanted, I was intending to touch on some HTC 10 stuff, but those rumors are still rumors. April 12th, 8 a.m. New York time or Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, whatever. They're going to have a live only online. There's no event per se. It's online only.
That's cool.
At htc.com. I intend to watch it, have some stuff to write up right after that. So that's April 12th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Hey, I got a really good app update I wanted to share. Matt, if you got one.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead. You go with yours.
So mine is Tweetbot.
Yeah, that's a good app.
It's probably one of the most expensive apps I've paid for on iOS. but it's very good. Tweetbot for iOS is it was $4.99, but right now it's $9.99, and essentially it's a more powerful Twitter app. I don't really use Twitter a lot, but I use it for a lot of like product updates and news and things like that. And Tweetbot allows you to really like organize everything and search it really well. Whenever I use an app like Tweetbot, it angers me that the stock app isn't that good. And that's usually when I decide if that's a really good app. If somebody out there, if a third party is making an app that is that much better than the stock app, then it usually stays on my phone for a long time.
Yeah. On Android, Twitter implemented, I don't remember the exact number. Let's say it's 100,000 token limitation for a third-party Twitter app.
Oh yeah.
Is that the same on iPhone?
No.
Really? So a third-party Twitter app on iPhone has an unlimited number of tokens?
So I'm sorry. No, it does. It doesn't. Some of the larger apps, what they do is they do something different. They have like all kinds of. I know what you're talking about though. I remember using one on Android, and pretty much, if you go into like the API on Twitter, like back in there, and you have like a developer account, I remember there's like a section where you create your like app, your API, and then you're only allowed so many instances of that app. So essentially, every time a user logs in, they have they're using an instance. But I feel like Tweetbot has that same issue, but I feel like they just make a bunch of APIs and you're just kind of all plugged in and doing different things. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but it's not a problem on iOS.
I know that's old news, but I thought since you brought it up that we'd remind our viewers that third-party Twitter apps do have that issue potentially.
Yeah, they do.
Android developers have automatically logged all their users out so that they have to relog back in. And all those who had previously logged in but weren't using it, their token basically got freed up.
Correct.
It's kind of a workaround, but it's what Twitter kind of forces them to do. At least the developer is supporting it, that's a good thing.
Yep. That's the best part. So what about you?
Okay, so I'll admit I did not find this on my own. Someone else showed me this, but when they did, it like opened major doors for me. I love this change. So I've got a Motorola phone, and you can do it with pretty much any Nexus phone when you give the Google Now command. Okay, Google. I wonder if anybody's phone just chirped up when I said that. But one of the commands that they've updated is in relevance to their Keep app, which is a note-taking app or a checklist or, in my case, a grocery shopping app. I make a checklist of grocery items so that when I'm in the store, I can read the list on my smartwatch and I don't have to take the phone out of my pocket or the piece of paper. But the cool feature that's been updated is now I can say, okay, Google, add Coke to my grocery list. And it will respond to say, okay, adding Coke to your grocery list. It's done. And then it confirms it by showing you your grocery list, and it is there on the grocery list. And on top of that, I figured out by playing with it after I learned this, you can list multiple things, and it will add all of them as separate checks on your checklist. So I tested it out, and I said 4 different things, and all 4 of them accurately were added to the grocery list as a separate item. So that really has opened the doors. I mean, that's a huge command change. My wife now can just stand in the kitchen and talk to her Moto X and make the grocery list rather than having to type it out individually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They keep adding all these little. That's what Google's always done, though. They add these features that seem small and insignificant, but they really do open the doors for using your phone as a smart device, a way I want to use it, rather than forcing me to use it in a way I never intended to.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I like that. That's pretty slick right there.
It was. I don't know if there's a Keep app on iPhone. But if there is, I challenge you to see if Siri could do that. Siri
I don't know.
could do that. I doubt that she could.
I know you can add stuff to a reminder, but I don't know if you can make a reminder with Siri. But I don't know if you can add stuff to a list, task list. I'll have to try that.
Well, the list can be custom named inside the Keep app, and then I can tell it to add anything to any custom name I gave it, and it will recognize that. So I may not have called it grocery list. I could have called it shopping list, and it would just and instead of saying grocery list, I say shopping list, and it works. So
nice.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for us tonight. I know we got started late, guys, but we got through the majority of everything we want to talk about. Plus, we got lots of reviews we need to hash out over the next couple of days and weeks. S7, S7 Edge, G5, now the Lenovo tablet, Yoga Tablet 3 Pro. Got lots of work on our hands, Matt. We better get started.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.